Thank you for joining us today for the virtual Sunday service with the Center for Creative Living. CCL, a charter of the Universal Church of the Master, has served and supported the spiritual needs of its community here in the Bay Area for over 20 years.
Here we are, the Center for Creative Living. Center for Creative Living is a spiritualist church in that our parent church is Universal Church of the Master. It's been in business and working with people since 1908. So this is, somebody said, oh, you have a brand new church. No, we've got one that has a long lineage. And we feel that every one of you is a child of the Creator. Whatever you want to call the Creator, it doesn't make any difference. We know you're special. And we're so glad you're all here. We have people in the room that were raised Catholic. We have people in the room raised Christian. We have people in the room that are Islamic. We have people in the room that are Jewish. So let you know that you are welcome. And anytime you feel like, well, maybe I'm not represented, say something about it. As you can see, I'm very open to people saying things, talking to them, to me. Talk to yourself if you want. It's okay. Because this is where you are accepted for who you are, not for who you think you should be or you think we want you to be. Be yourself. This is a good place for you to do it. We had a lot of problems with the sound last week. This room is very echoey. So if you're in the back and you're talking, it echoes and the microphone picks it up. So the video was kind of difficult to watch because there was sound constantly. So if you're going to talk to each other, learn sign language quickly, okay? Because we don't want to be picking up on your voice, and you don't either, because it just overrides whatever's going on. And we're going to have speakers today. We're going to have 4 speakers today, 5, and who are going to be talking about how they got in touch with their psychic abilities. And we don't want all of those precious words to be lost because somebody's moving their chair or talking on the cell phone, okay? Which reminds me, please turn off your cell phones. One of the things about being a spiritualist church is what we talk about and who we are should be the same thing. What we talk about on Sunday should be who we truly are. Last Sunday we talked about forgiveness. And yet there were still people who were saying to me, but Dottie, that person did such and such. That's not what I'm talking about when I say forgiveness. It's not you saying, okay, I forgive myself, but I don't forgive everybody else. Think about that as your mantra. I can forgive people. I can accept that people are different. And you'll find that when you do that, you start looking for the difference because it's interesting. I'm so glad everybody isn't exactly like I am. I have a very crowded house as it is, I don't want everybody moving in. It's you being in charge of who you are is the best ability and not deciding that what everybody else should do. And I don't know how many of you have noticed that, but there's a lot of shaming going on. And so for Sunday service, we're going to be talking always about finding who you are without making other people wrong. Okay? The other thing that, the other thing that I want to talk about is the fact that we are coming up on the holidays, and we're going to need speakers. So if you want to say, even people, we have brand new people here. I always like to say brand new. It sounds like you're, 6 minutes old. But we have new people here that haven't been here before. And if you have something you want to talk about, let me know. We put you on the roster. It's that easy. I think everybody has a message. And if you just hold that message, it's like putting your light under a bushel. If you just hold that message within you, then nobody else grows by your message. So please, if you come and you say, I want to talk about meditation. Thank you so very much, Janet, for you and Alani for the meditation class last week. That was great. That was just this week, wasn't it? It was just Thursday. The classes that we're teaching are for people who want to become ministers, or if you're just interested in metaphysics and spirituality. They're offered 2 Thursdays a month, first and third, and you can do it by Zoom, or you can come to class at the UCM headquarters. And many people say, I want to learn more about spirituality. And then they go, wait a minute. You know, UCM ministers are all sorts of different people. I think I'd like to be a minister. Great, stick around, because these classes are going to be offered until August. I mean, it's a whole year course here. But if you take the classes and you decide, I want to be a minister, you become a UCM minister. So think about, maybe that's my next step, is to go into ministry. And I talk a lot about that because I think each one of us is our own true minister as far as how we handle ourselves. Okay? And now we're going to ask our wonderful Reverend Dr. Janet Childs to come up with her guitar, and we're going to have a meditation.
Oh, could I say something?
You may say something. Reverend Joan, what? You can hold on to my podium, that's fine.
Dottie asked about doing a talk here at the church, and I have done several talks, and I've been a Toastmaster for a long time. And if you have a talk you want to prepare, and you're not quite sure about how to do it or how to put it together, or maybe you're scared of speaking, I'd be happy to help you through Zoom lessons or encouragement, and I'll help you outline it. I'll help you prepare some gestures, prepare some voice variety, so that your talk becomes more than just telling people about spirituality and how wonderful it is. Okay, got it?
Got it. Now we got it.
And, I can help you individually. I'll be happy to do that. No fee. This is a service. Okay, this is how we work here. We offer our talents and our experiences as service. So this is a service. The other, in which I'm getting chills down my back like crazy. The other thing I can do is, if you're interested, I can put together a little Saturday morning class for about 2 hours so that you could maybe join that and get inspiration on ideas of talks that you'd like to do. Now let me ask you this. Does this sound like it might be interesting to you? If so, please raise your hand. Okay, I have 2. Okay.
Janet was back here.
I have 3.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going for 4. I'm going for 4. I'm going for 5. I don't care how
I work Saturdays.
Pardon me?
She works
4,
Saturday.
but I work Saturdays.
Okay, we'll do it a different day. I don't care. I'm retired.
Yay!
Or self-employed, however you want to talk about it. Anyway, I have lots of time, so I can do a different day. So I have 4. If I move it to a different day, do I have 5? 5. Is anyone responding over there?
Oh, hey, raise your hand, people on Zoom. You tell them.
People on Zoom, this is the time to raise your hand if you're interested in taking classes on how to give a sermon or how to give a talk here. Please let us know.
I've got 5!
Yay!
Okay, great. Be sure I get your name afterwards, and then we'll set up a time that works for you. I am personally very excited about sharing this information, and because I've been a Toastmaster for over 30 years in various clubs, I can give you some nice tips.
Wonderful.
I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Thank you. By the way, I love your new top. You guys must have gone shopping.
I have pictures of me in this in 1985. Not quite new. But she actually,
Well, I'm glad you dug it out because it's just beautiful.
Thank you so much. Thank you, John. Anybody have a birthday this week? Yeah. Libra. So when exactly is your birthday?
Tuesday, and I will be 3/4 of the century.
Wow. Oh my God. Pick a color.
Of course, it's going to be purple.
Of course it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
You got so many in here.
There you go.
Thank you.
And Frank's birthday song?
Oh, yeah.
This is your birthday song. Isn't very long. Happy birthday, Lonnie. Thank you. And wear your beads with pride and say, I'm getting older.
Right.
I love it. Any other announcements that you would like to make? Ed, do you have any announcements to make?
You drained me.
I drained you. I just was patting your back, honey.
Feral cats.
Feral cat, that's it.
No-kill shelter. That's a blues song.
Yes. Okay, I'd like you all to put your feet flat on the floor. Get a nice, comfortable position. And close your eyes. Each one of you is a walking rainbow. You have these wonderful chakras in your body. And the chakras start out with the red chakra, the root chakra. And that's for the area in which you sit down. You move up to that wonderful sexual area. And that color is orange. And then move up to the solar plexus. And it's yellow. And then up to your heart, and you have a green light, a green chakra. And some people say it's even pink, depending on who you are. And then you come up to your throat chakra, and that color is blue. And then your third eye, and that's indigo. And all the way up to the very top, it is the violet. And when you go further, it becomes a bright white, which is your way of getting in touch with Creator. Being a rainbow means that you are connected with Earth through the root. You are connected with Creator through the top. And each one of these areas of your body are connected to Spirit. They make you shine. And now visualize yourself as a shining rainbow. As we listen to the wonderful Reverend Dr. Janet Childs.
Oh, we are a rainbow of colors and light. And every step, every dance brings us into our sight. We are a circle. We are all the colors of our life. We are a great world of love. Oh, we are a rainbow. We are the colors of life. And we honor each other, each beautiful side. And when we know we are here in this world for a purpose, all we need to do is shine, 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 shine our light. You are a rainbow, and your life is the dream. You are shine, and you know all the struggles you see are part of the rainbow and all that it means. So we are a rainbow, we're a rainbow of light. Red, orange, and yellow, blue, green, and indigo, and violet. Oh, it all shines inside of us, and when we reach each other's hand, and oh, this rainbow is the color where we stand. We are a rainbow. We are a rainbow. We are a rainbow. We are a rainbow. We are a rainbow of light.
And just sit quietly here. Take another nice deep breath and feel yourself shine. Thank you so much, Jim. That was wonderful. Well, today we're going to be talking about how do you know you're psychic?
When I was, many of you have heard this story, when I was 5 years old living in a little town called Lancaster, I was all alone, and I was sitting in my playhouse, which was it was a freezer box. And this man appeared and started talking to me. And I could kind of see through him, and it was kind of interesting, and I realized that he was just talking to me. He told me his name was Mahalaleo, and I call him Ma. And I thought everybody had a Ma. I thought everybody had a spirit that talked to him, whatever this being was. And it wasn't until I was much older, and I went to a place called We and Our Neighbors, and they did psychic readings. And I noticed that there was a young girl sitting looking at a wall. A man was standing against the wall. She was looking at us. What she's doing? They said, oh, she's reading that man's aura. I said, what's an aura? And they said, that's the colors you have around you. Well, I had been seeing colors around people since I was 5 years old. They've got color. They've got a name for that? So I sat back, and she said, and I see green on the left. And I thought, I saw green on the left. And so we started talking. And I was amazed. There was this little 11-year-old just chatting away about these colors. And so when I started talking to other people about the colors they saw around folks, some of them looked at me very suspiciously, and others went, oh, yeah, I see that. It's kind of a vague color. And I got interested in metaphysics, and so I started, once I do something, I really do it. I opened up a metaphysical bookstore in Los Gatos called Brigadoon and did aura readings. And that's where I met my friend Lonnie. Long time ago, Lonnie. Yeah, 40 some odd years ago. I was in Los Gatos doing readings. And that led to people saying, well, read me. And I said, oh no, I just see colors around you. And then all of a sudden I realized I was doing more than that. I'd say, I see blue around you, and that means, and I was listening to this voice. And then I had to figure out what those voices were, especially that one. And went further into metaphysics and eventually became a minister. But what the thing for me was the realization that everybody else I know has some psychic ability. It might be very slight, or it might have been vague, but they didn't know what to call it. So when I wanted to do a psychic Sunday, I reached out to people and said, would you come and talk to us and tell us, how did you get in touch with your psychic ability? And I'm so lucky the people here today that are going to be talking to you not only are doing psychic work, they're also doing it professionally. And one of the people I worked with and I've been on an international podcast with is our wonderful Amina. And Amina is going to be talking to us about how she got her capacity and her ability to talk to animals. Please welcome Amina. And Amina, I'm going to move this out just so you can stand behind it. And am I still in your capacity to see us?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And then bring the mic over here.
Bring the mic over here.
No, I'm gonna to bring the mic over to her.
Okay. Oh, that way. Like this?
No.
Like that's not necessary.
Either way.
How powerful you are, Donna.
I know. You can turn the world around. There you go, Amina.
Well, good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming. It's nice to see the family all the time, in person and online. So, like most people, my business is all online. I've always had clients all over the world. And what is it what I do? I talk to the animals. I talk to the bugs. Yep, been talking to them since I was a little kid. And when you're small, you just think, oh, it's a kid thing. Everybody lets you talk to anything you want when you're a child. But when you're an adult, you go, what are you doing? And I said, didn't you hear about? No, you didn't hear say. So for me, finding CCL, I'm backing into this, was a way to tell me I hadn't lost my mind. Because I found you and this family to say, no, what you're going through is your journey and it's your time. So I am a fifth child of a very busy family, and we're all athletes, and we're all, not all creative, but my creativity goes a different way and has flourished a different way. And gosh, maybe 10 years ago or less, the voices got louder and louder. And luckily, I had met this wonderful woman and all of these people here, and I finally went to her and was like, what the heck is going on? I'm sitting in a car, and there's some guy go, blah, 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 do this. And I said, I don't even know who you are, and what are you doing? And I got caught talking to a lot of strange people. And when I was a kid, I had a lot of time on my own. I'm a fifth child, and to very busy parents, but I lived in the desert. So a lot of tumbleweeds to talk to, a lot of Joshua trees to talk to, a lot of places to walk. And in those days, it was free to just walk around and get where you needed to go. Nobody's going to drive me. And so I used to tell God stories. And not realizing this was that path that I'm walking. Because we all can be spiritual. What I love about the Center for Creative Living is we all get to come at spirituality the way we want it, the way we can see it, the way we are able to. And they meet you there wherever you are or leave you alone while you're learning. And I got that chance here also. So this is why I surround myself with the people I do to keep that good going. Because now I can read people about 6 blocks off and go, yeah, we're getting off the curtain going over there. And my kids stopped asking, why are you doing this? No explanation. Otherwise, you're going to know too much about whatever they're thinking about. I don't want to be near it. Because I'm blessed with that, be able to feel people's energies. I can read that. I can read what people, I can't read your mind. Thank God. Whoever can do that, I feel sorry for them. Because I know my mind should not be read. Depending on the time of day, and how much sleep I got, and who I'm mad at. But when I had found my joy as a child in animals and nature, again, my parents were teachers, so I have seen the United States in its entirety, and that means Canada and Washington, D.C., and everybody else. Canada's not a part of the U.S., but you know what? We're land to land, kind of, and Alaska. All of that I have seen 5 times. So I feel very, very lucky to not only have the blessing of being able to travel to other states and see how other people do it, but to watch my parents, who are very, very different people, but very loving 75-year marriage all the way till they passed, talking about each other. And I get to talk to them all the time. So that's another strange thing that comes in later. I talk to dead people all the time. And watching that love and acceptance, I brought home a boy, and he was African American. And I don't know how that was going to go because I didn't ever see my parents interact with any of this. I'm not at school with my dad while he teaches. I'm not with my mom while she's working with people. And they were, and I was really young to be dating. But he came over to visit, and they were absolutely wonderful. They were respectful. They were a little dowdy on the whole dating thing, but this young man and I stayed friends through high school. So it was that challenge of bringing home something. Now, if you can see my name, Amina, and Ramazani is Iranian, married name, and Amina, I'm Muslim and practicing. And so when I made that transition, thought, oh yeah, we're going to really test that. How committed are my parents to me? And they rolled with it then. So I had a lot of experiences of acceptance of wherever I was, my parents were going to go, well, there she goes again. Because I could see across their face. But when I brought him home, we'd already been married, by the way, and we did that runoff, get married thing. And then, of course, 3 months later when we went to visit them, I said, oh, by the way, I'm pregnant. So, we're keeping him. And watching them live their moral compass. Watching them as I tried them, every service I could try. I didn't try robbery. So I didn't try jail or anything like that. But I tested them in those really tough places where your parents are worried about you. Now, I got married during the Iran hostage crisis.
Wow.
To an Iranian. Okay?
Wow.
So think about how bad my parents were worried about, oh my God, and what, and then as I made the transition into a full hijab, which is the scarf, that's the attire, and you'll never ever see me with anything more than 3/4 sleeves short. It's my comfort zone. I no longer have to, nor is it my choice to wear a
2 minutes to get
scarf.
back to how you got
So
into being
all of this brings me to where I came today. All of this brings me to all of these experiences. You might not see a commonality in your experiences, but they make you who you are. And it makes me able to accept that what I hear is true. And then you talk to experts who have been hearing it since they were 5, and you have the support. And I'm lucky to every third, I saw 3 dogs on the way here, and they all said hi, because I'd already said hi. and I get caught like this constantly, and they're always like, oh, I'm sorry. No, sorry, I was talking to your dog, not you. And it's a gift. So I can practice what I preach is coexisting. We all need to coexist, but you also need to let the honeybees live, stop using raid, and coexist with animals and taking spay and neutering seriously so that we can love all the ones we have. And that's the point.
How did you know the dogs talk to you?
Because you made me confident in what I heard.
Okay, and then
So
what did you do with it?
What I did with it was then reach out to other pet owners and said, no, this is what's happening. They're dying, they're living, they need this. When they bite you, there's a message, a really loud one that you're obviously not hearing, because most animals start with a tail wag, with an ear move, and I'm going to give you those physical things that you don't need psychic ability for. So I translated all of that to the natural world, and honeybees are important. So just move the hive, not your house, but put flowers out. Put things out that everybody can coexist. And that's where I jumped off of and said, oh my gosh, I can do more. I can do more good with the gifts I've got. And I don't worry about what people think of me. And you have a podcast. And I have a live cast. It is televised on TV and on a channel. I've been doing it for 90 episodes. Because the woman who owns it back east is on the channel, and we do it through. It is posted up on YouTube. It's posted up on a lot of channels, but I record it every Friday, and I have guests on all the time. So if you know somebody has got a great message, I've had Doti, I've had Quirky, and so it's about sharing what God's given me and sharing what it is. And I really appreciate the fact that I can do that.
Do you still have that wonderful video on your website?
Which one?
The one with the big dog, the couple that's talking to the dog?
Yes.
You've got to go to our website. That's the cutest video.
Yeah, they're all talking to the dog, and then one's talking to them and tugging it back and forth, and you're like, this is just crazy. But some of us like, no, that really happens. Because we all have either walked by a pet or seen a stray that you know the stray's afraid of you for a reason. Somebody threw rocks at them and they're not getting fed. But how many people have walked into people's house and with dogs specifically, reach out your hand. Yeah. Let them check you out.
Yeah, let them check
Let
you out.
them see your energy, not just hear, but smell it. Because if you're nervous, he's going to be nervous and say, oh my gosh, why are we so nervous? So take a deep breath, drink a lot of water, and then set your boundaries of what you can. My sister grew up having been bit in the face as a child by a dog. So her growth into dogs when her children were wanting one was a huge growth. It's a huge growth that you have to go through. So meet people where they're at and then encourage them to grow, because everybody did for me.
What is your website?
bridgingworlds.us. Everything you want to know about me, every place you want to see what I've been doing, it's all on the website.
She's got great videos.
Yep.
Any business cards or flyers?
I have lots of business cards.
Hey,
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, great. Now, we have, the sound you hear right now is food coming in. We have free food after service. Please look at the table.
Bring your mic around, please.
Please look at the table and take home food that has been donated to us. And if you have neighbors or somebody that you can share it with, please do. We're all for you learning how to give, because you're already receiving, okay? Now the next person is, as I mentioned earlier, Lonnie, and the Minister Lonnie Broderick that works at a store where she does readings. How many days a week?
It's every Tuesday and Wednesday and every other Friday and every
Hey,
other
so
Saturday.
you're a professional psychic. Why don't you come on up, Lonnie?
If you didn't hear, on last Thursday, Lonnie did meditation with Dr. Janet there, and they did such a great class. And I think one of the things that was so amazing is when Amanda stood up, and I'll say it and I almost cry, because here she is blind, and she, if you don't know this, and she stood up and said, I could see a light. And it was the most amazing thing. She was amazed too.
She is amazing.
Did she talk about that more?
She called me, actually.
Oh, how wonderful. Yeah. And that
Very sweet.
when you can bring light into somebody's life like that through meditation, you're pretty special, both of you.
Thank you.
Okay, what I need.
All right.
Okay.
Okay,
My favorite thing, talking.
okay, so what would be good is if you could get a little bit closer.
Closer.
Yeah.
Hi. Wow. How did this all begin? You know, I didn't know anything. I was raised Catholic, and this was, don't even do this, you know. So I didn't think I had any abilities, or, you know, I didn't even know I was divine. I didn't know anything. And through the grace of God, and God changed my life. He sent me an angel who talked to me for 6 months about spirituality. And I wasn't able to move because he sat here and a big black lab sat on this side, and they wouldn't let me move for 6 months, and I worked there. And this guy was tall, blonde hair, sparkling blue eyes, a light. And I'm like, he doesn't seem real, you know. 6 months after he talked to me, I knew there was reincarnation. I knew, you know, that God loved me. I knew that everybody had gifts. I knew a lot about spirituality. And I said, why is this happening? And it was time for me to change because I was lost. So after 6 months, I walked in and there's no dog and the dog was up with his owner and John was gone. And I said to the boss, I said, where's John? He goes, his job is done. He's gone. So I know that was an angel and I know they sent him. So I began my adventure. I moved back to California. This was in Reno, Nevada. I moved back to California and I'm walking down the street and I see this little bookstore in Los Gatos. And this guy's sitting behind the counter. And so they're all sitting there looking at somebody against the wall. And I walked in and I said, what are they doing? He said, they're reading her aura. Like, what's an aura? Yeah. Okay, he says, well, go sit down and see if you can see one. Okay, so I had my mom and my friend and my son with me, and my son was 7. My mom sits down and my friend and David, and, oh yeah, there's an aura. I'm looking. You guys are nuts, you know. It took me a year, 1 year of going to Dottie's every Thursday night until I finally saw an aura. And I went, oh, wow, it's true, you know. And then I met this woman named Juliet Bristow. She's also a minister with UCM. In her home on, I can't remember what night it was, but once a week, every week, she had what was called a spook booth. And somebody would sit in the spook booth, and we would read their aura and tell them what we saw. Well, that began to develop an ability of me to see auras, not only that, but to see other things in the aura, like, you know, tell them they were going to go, you know, to Europe for a week, and they go, no, you know. And it was like, okay, this is interesting. I went to a psychic fair. I think it was about 1979 or something like that. And I met this woman outside, and her name was Bertie Peterson. She said she was the president of a church called Universal Church of the Master. And I said, oh, that's interesting. What kind of church? And she goes, it's spiritual. I said, whoa, that's neat, you know. So we sat out there and we talked about cats mainly. She loved cats, so did I, so there we go. And we became good friends. And I would go to UCM, even though I wasn't a minister, and sit with her and have coffee and talk. And then I decided, well, I want to become a minister. I still didn't have any abilities. I didn't know what I was going to do. But I then took Reiki. This was the greatest thing that ever happened in my life, because not only did I see a lot of miracles, and the minute I saw them, I said, I have to have this. I've always wanted to be a healer. That's what I could do, because I don't have any other abilities. So maybe I could be a healer. So I took Reiki 1, and then my master died, and I met, when I was at the Center for Living with Dying as a volunteer, these people from Australia came. My master, when I closed my eyes, said, this is the one for you. And I said, okay. Well, there was a gift, and I didn't know that that's what it was. You know, I could see people and talk to spirit, but I didn't know that. So when I took Reiki 2 from Denise and John Prundle, there is a point in Reiki 2 where the higher self talks to the conscious mind, brings a message to the conscious mind when you're working on the head. Well, when you do a Reiki 2, you write down everything. And so I was writing down everything that I felt, or, you know, whatever was happening with this person that I was giving Reiki to, who lived maybe in New Zealand or someplace. And then you call them up and you read it to them. They said, how did you know I was walking on the beach thinking about my girlfriend? But, oh, you know. Well, I was like, I don't know. Having a clue. And I had been going to Dottie's classes for card reading, but I always read them just normally. You know, just this meant this, this meant this, this meant this. And all of a sudden when I took Reiki 2, I their higher self would tell me what they needed to know. And I'm like, oh, okay. So through so many different avenues, it all came together. And my prayer was, please, God's always given me what I wanted. I feel spoiled. But I asked, could I please work, do my readings and do Reiki in a special place, a place that feels like home, and that a bookstore or something. And this bookstore opened downtown, Willow Glen, 10 years ago. And me and my friend walked in, and my friend goes, she does readings. And the owner goes, oh yeah, I know, come on, start doing them. And you can do Reiki. I said, don't you want me to read for you so you know I'm legitimate? She goes, oh, I know already. Come on in.
Wow.
I've been there for 10 years giving readings and Reiki, and it's great.
What's the name of the
And I'm
bookstore?
very grateful, huh?
What's the name of the bookstore?
The name of the bookstore, it's a crystal shop, actually. And it's called all this universal stuff. Universal Connection Store. Then I'm a minister at the, it's all,
Church of Master.
right, yeah. So, and the master is always being Christ, who is my master. And so, there's a plan. So I am so grateful for everybody who's touched my life. All the wonderful teachers and ministers and masters have brought me to a very special place and a very special point of my life where I can do my dream.
And you're going to be doing a Reiki class on Thursday, the
Yes.
20th. Thursday,
20th.
The 20th, yes.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Dr. Eileen, Reverend Dr. Eileen and myself are doing a UCM Reiki class Thursday night on the 20th
At headquarters,
at
yeah.
headquarters. Yes.
So if you're interested, let us know, and we'll, because it's $15 a class, or 2 for $25. So if anybody's interested in learning more about Reiki, you can see this is next week here, okay?
Reiki is expert, yeah.
Thank you so much. Okay. Oh, thank you so much. That was I didn't know that you went all the way back to the Center for Living with Dying.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are, that's a long time ago. Thank you. And Joan, are you ready to talk? Oh, sure. Okay, let's do it. I think it slid over there, so you can hold it. Yeah, go again.
The microphone has a mind of its own.
It's brand new.
So I'm Reverend Joan Stutz, which is a new title for me. I've had lots of titles. I was a 7th grade math teacher. That was a title. I was a realtor as Joan Banks for over 30 years. A wonderful opportunity to practice my metaphysical skills. And for the last 12 years, I've been financial services representative, Joan Stutz, since I got married in the interim there. And now I'm Reverend Joan Stutz. So that's my lineage of titles. When I was a kid, I saw fairies in the asparagus grass, and I thought everybody did. And like Dottie and Amina, I grew up in a desert town, Redlands, which was at that time the orange capital of the world. And I grew up on a half acre. And when you grow up rural, you have a lot of time to really invent your own games. So one of the games I had was to pick asparagus fronds and put them in a dish with some sand and lie in the hot sun and watch the fairies go back and forth, swing and leap and dance and have fun.
when I was in a junior in high school, I had a recurring dream of a terrible phone call. The fellow who I had dated when I was a sophomore was named Jerry, and I got a call from Carolyn, the other girl that he dated, saying, "Have you heard? Jerry was killed in an automobile accident." He was the youngest of 4 girls and 1 boy, so he was the light of his family. He was a football hero. And while we dated that 1 year, we had a nice time, but that summer, he had asked me to marry him between my junior and senior year. I said, "Well, no, I want to go to college. It won't work out." In my junior year, I had these dreams about this phone call 3 or 4 different times. It was very, very frightening. And on the first day of my senior year in high school, I got the phone call. "Joan, this is Carolyn. Have you heard? Jerry was killed in an automobile accident." And that was true. He had been killed the night before. Well, what a beginning for my senior year in high school. It threw me into depression, I'm sure, although I wasn't named that at the time, but it was just a horrid time. And I didn't know if I had created his demise through my dreams, or if the dreams had been a foreshadowing of what was going to happen. So it scared me silly. It scared me silly. And of course, later in the 2 weeks after I graduated, I married John Banks, I think largely to get away from my hometown and remembrance of all that had gone on, and my association with Jerry and his death and football and all of that. So I think it permanently scarred me about sharing. When Nixon was vice president, which was, a couple of years into my marriage, I had dreams of him playing the piano, playing on the piano. And I believe he did play the piano. Anyway, it was beautiful music. But he pooped on the piano bench.
No, bad man, well.
Now, I didn't know what that meant. And I had that dream a number of times. Well, of course, he ended having pooped on the bench of the Constitution, the bench of the presidency, the bench of America, and was led off stage. So this probably furthered my reluctance to share.
Seems like it would.
So I'm going to talk about, first of all, my dreams, which I think permanently scarred me about sharing. Okay. The second thing I want to talk about is how we use this psychic ability, and the third thing is how Doti's classes and my relationship with Doti has changed things. So the second thing I want to talk about is that as I got into the metaphysical studies, I studied with a gal who had spent time in Leavenworth for stealing money because she had studied New Thought and knew she could get away with it. And so this was kind of a rogue introduction. So it became, and it was a time when, in the early 70s, when New Thought was simply new. It was very new. It was not as widely accepted as it was now. It was just kind of coming out of the closet. And because she was so bizarre and had such a bizarre history, I think that gave me the introduction to New Thought, but furthered my reluctance to share it. And I did do a lot of sharing at that time. I did card readings, I did astrology readings, but the general reaction, of course, which is always a reflection of yourself, is,
wow, Joan, you're really weird. And I didn't really want to be weird. I wanted to be liked. You know, I love to be liked. Anybody else in
Yeah.
I want a fan club. Yeah. Vote for me. Yeah. Okay, so I didn't want to be weird. So I went into real estate, and I would use those metaphysical skills to succeed, and I did very well in real estate. So that's the thing I learned about New Thought at that time was, it will get you out of any jam you're in.
Oh, gosh.
You know. So I got in a lot of jams. It was, that was my party life. And I got into a lot of different jams between real estate and my party life. And it did help me get out of jams. And a lot of us tend to continue using metaphysical principles to get out of jams. One thing I learned in the 12 years I spent in the financial services industry is that you need to prepare so that you don't get into jams. Duh. New thought. So as I'm moving out of that industry, and I will no longer be licensed and will be able to speak freely about my way of looking at New Thought and how to use it. Yes, use it to get out of your crises, but use it as a long-term vision. So for the first time in my life, I have a 10-year plan. I'm 87. I figured I wanted enough money so that I would be financially okay at 97 because I want to live to be at least 102.
I love it.
So I'll be encouraging you through my various things that I'm now creating to develop a long-term plan, a 10-year plan, what I call my 10-year plan. Okay, so I told you about my dreams and how it made me afraid to share. I've told you about my experience with my whacked out original spiritual teacher who helped me a lot. And by the way, her name was Joan. And we were both Aries and we were both whacked out. And it was so much fun. And I love her a lot, but it didn't give me the long-term way to solve problems. Now I want to talk about how I got moved into sharing.
You've got 2 minutes to do it.
Good. That's all I need.
Great.
So I started attending. My husband became ill and we couldn't travel anymore. So I thought, and I quit real estate. I thought, what am I going to do I didn't have any friends. My friends, my realtor friends and my clients were my friends. So I now had no friends. Okay. So what am I going to do? So I started attending Dottie's church. And several years ago, she had a boutique at Christmas, and she said, a fair where there was auction items and services and, readings and da-da-da. She said, Joan, you can do readings. I said, what? I can? I thought about it a long time. I thought, well, I'll do past life readings because I didn't want people asking me about the market and financial things. Well, I'll try doing past life readings. So that was the beginning of me coming out of my shell. All of a sudden, and I did 3 or 4 readings and people really liked them. So I thought, oh, this is interesting. So then she talked about having me speak. And I thought, okay, I can talk about how New Thought has helped me personally. And then this year, of course, Dottie has projects for you. How many of you know that Dottie has projects for you that you never considered? Yeah. So this year, she texts me and says, Joan, can you do a class on beginning astrology? And I thought, oh, shit. I haven't looked at astrology for 20 years. So I'm reviewing my astrology skills, and it's all there.
And now I'm taking the classes. Although I'm a minister, I have the reverend status. I'm taking all of the classes. Let me tell you about these classes. They simplify New Thought. They take the mysticism out of it. So I know that if I plant tomato seeds and feed them watered, I'll get tomatoes. Okay, the same thing is, that's how she teaches these metaphysical classes and talents, develops your talents. You plant the seed, you feed and water it, and it bears fruit. The mysticism terminology is not prominent. It is somewhat perhaps mentioned, but it is not prominent. And it's just like, I know that if I'm going to plant tomatoes, I need a shovel, I need a rake, I need water, I need to fool around, push the dirt around. Okay, this is what the metaphysical classes do. They give you everyday things that you're already doing to bring out the fruit of your spirit. So as we go forward, you also may be reluctant to share. Maybe you had a scary experience like I did, or maybe you don't feel confident. So sharing, learning how to share and overcome those barriers will happen here, whether you want it to.
Oh, I love it.
And the second thing, as I mentioned, is to share them and overcome that. And then I encourage you to take some or all of these classes, because it brings it down to everyday language, so that it's no longer a mystery that requires candles and certain music and dark. The mystery is gone. It's get out your shovels, get out your rakes, plant your garden and your tree.
Yeah.
Well,
We expect tomatoes in 6 weeks.
Right. I love it. Oh, that's good.
Well, because I don't know whether it's because of the traffic or because of the marathon going on, but two of our speakers weren't able to make it. Lynn Rogers wasn't able to make it, and Ruth Davidson wasn't able to make it. And so luckily, we have somebody who is doing wonderful spiritual work that volunteered, and that's our Reverend April Lucier.
Yay!
Yep. All right. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Like Dottie said, I'm just a fill-in, so be patient with me.
You're not just a fill-in, you're April.
And I've known I've been weird. It was hard when I was little, but at some point I really embraced being weird. So my experience is very different than everyone that's shared. I had some experiences of being guided without question. I left a job and moved to another town, and my father thought I was crazy. How could you do that? And it was like, I can't explain it. It's something I just need to do. And when I did that, I connected, this is in the mid-70s, I connected with a hairdresser who then hooked me up with a group of metaphysicians that were meeting in a home. And I was exposed to healing. And none of this seemed weird. It was like, this is right, this is true. From there, I ended up in California and met Tom Gary and was a part of his church, Center for Infinite Growth. Thank you. And the whole time I was there would always be people giving readings at church. And every time they would tell me, you're going to be a healer. And it's like, in my head, inside, I was like, I don't want to be a healer. I want to be a psychic. I don't want to be a healer. And every time, it didn't matter who the person was, they would tell me I'm going to be a healer. And the whole time I'm like seeking this other thing and unsuccessful. They would say, they would have a class or an experience of
of channeling, and they say, you just got to get out of your own way. And it's like, how the hell do you do that? I don't know. So I kind of just, okay, it's not going to be me. I don't see auras. A lot of things just, they didn't work. I had a dowsing wire, and my dowsing teacher said, the 63 guides that are with you don't want to work with it. Okay. So I kind of just kept going on with life, got involved with some other spiritual practices, and kind of pushed it aside. I did Reiki, but I could never be convinced I was really doing anything. And finally, I was guided to do Vortex Healing. And Vortex Healing is very different. It's working with divine consciousness and divine energy. And through the divine consciousness, I was able to finally move out whatever aspects of my being that were holding me back. And I now have a yes-no with the divine. And so if the divine wants to answer the question, I can get a yes or no. So I'm glad Dottie let me share, because it just helped people understand the way the information comes in can be very different. Yeah. But it's all purposeful to help the planet and the people on the planet. So, thank you. One of the things that April didn't mention, she also works with a goddess. And so when we talk about the divine, she is working quite often with a feminine divinity. And so that's part of that circle. We have people here, as you've heard, have been come from every background imaginable, but they all gathering together to help everybody as much as they can with the gifts that they have, which is fantastic. And at this point in time, I need somebody to pass the basket. I don't know. Thank you, April. April is, yeah, she wears many, many different hats here. So that would be great. Thank you so very much.
We ask, even if you don't have funds, to put your energy in, because again, we are metaphysical. We are more than the physical world. So please add your energy of healing to the basket.
Okay, guys, stand up. There you go. And there, girl.
You're talking to me?
Yes.
Oh, I thought you were talking to yourself. I was okay.
Well, it's kind of like that.
I'm sure, as you can tell, if this is your first time, we've got a lot of people with a lot of talent, but we also have a lot of joy. Somebody once said to people in this group, do you laugh all the time? Yes, we laugh all the time because we feel joyful about life. And so it's so exciting when you wake up in the morning feeling joyful about life. And if you don't wake up in the morning feeling joyful about life, start thinking about what it takes to make you do that. Because sometimes it's the smallest thing. Some people feel joyful if there's a cup of coffee. Some people feel joyful if they can take a pee. Some people feel joyful if they can make a phone call. What makes you joyful first thing in the morning? Do it. Don't say, oh no, I don't have time. Whatever it is, do it. What makes me very joyful is I call people. I always talk about I call at least 4 people a day. When we had the hurricane in Florida, I called 10 people that day. How are you doing? We're here. Let me know what we can do to help and support you. Because we have a lot of friends that have moved to Florida. And somebody said, well, did you reach out to anybody? You reach out. I blanketed the whole state. So from the very tip of it all the way up. And people were so glad to hear a voice saying, you're going to be okay. I'm calling to tell you, I don't see you losing your house. I don't see anybody in your family being hurt. And it worked. Even a friend of mine who lives in St. Petersburg, which was pretty badly hit. Another friend of mine lives in Orlando. And she had said, are you sure I'm not going to be hurt? I said, there's going to be a little bit of damage, but it's not to you physically. She lost her fence. That's a little bit of damage. So use your psychic ability. When you feel something, tell somebody. And when you first start out, you say, this doesn't sound right. Just do it. And you'll be amazed how right on you can really be. I'd like you all to just put your feet flat on the floor one more time. And take another nice deep breath. As you close your eyes, just feel the energy of Creator absolutely covering you. For some of you, it's a soft breeze. For others of you, it's like a light blanket. Some of you, it's music that surrounds you. However you feel, Creator, it's not a stern voice yelling at you. It's a loving sound. Let that energy surround you. And you start by surrounding your feet. Bring the energy up through your knees, your hips, your body, shoulders, head. And bring that energy straight back up to Creator. And as you feel that energy surround you, let it glow. Let it be bright. Let it be shiny. So when you walk out of here today, you're walking out in shining, bright light. Because you are the light of the world. Thank you so very much for being here. And don't forget, pick up some food on the way out. Bye now.
So on Zoom, we have Chin Lee, Laura Maxwell, welcome Laura, Laura Overman, Patty and Joyce, Ruth, and Sky.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Thank you all for being here. We appreciate it.
There's also coffee in the back.
Coffee in the back. And stick around and talk to people. One of the things Joan didn't mention, the way she's met people is by just sticking around and talking to people. Love to get to know you better.
Oh, it's so nice being here. You're talking, it's so nice.
Yeah.
Talk to you.